Hi friends, how are we this week? So today we are going to be making Halloween wind socks. Yay! Let's jump right in, okay? So let's start with the materials you're going to need. You should have a piece of orange paper, a piece of orange, green paper. You should have 2 rolls of this kind of paper. It's called crepe paper, orange and black. Then you should also have 4 loose long strands and 2 smaller strands of orange paper, 2 pieces of green string, a black hat, a smile, so 3 triangles to make your jack-o'-lantern, and 1 green nose. You're also going to need a glue stick and some scissors. Now let's start with the pumpkin wind sock. You're going to want to take your glue and we're going to start putting the face on the orange paper. When you do this, you just want to make sure the orange paper is sideways, horizontal, when you're putting your face on. And then you're simply going to put glue on the mouth and the 3 triangles. So I'm going to start with the mouth, putting glue all over. I like to start with the mouth. It kind of helps me figure out where everything else needs to go. And I'm going to put it in the center of my paper. So now I have my mouth on. And then I'm going to do my nose. So the nose is the smaller triangle. And then my eyes. So as always, make sure you press down your paper really firmly. You might want to give it just a couple seconds to dry before you move on to the next step. So now that this is dry, you're going to want to take your rolled orange paper. You're going to see that it's folded in half. You're just going to want to unfold that. And you should have about 5 strips or so. And now we're going to start gluing to our orange paper. To do that, you're going to want to flip it over. And when you glue, you're going to want to make sure you're gluing at the bottom. So when you flip it over, be sure it's at the bottom of the paper. To glue, I like to take my glue stick and I like to just kind of make a strip of purple. Well, if yours is clear, that's fine. But just a strip of glue. It'll help me with placing. And then you take one of your strips and you just attach it. It's up to you how high up you want to go. I like to just go up a little bit, nothing too high. And then you're just gonna keep putting. And every time you place, you want to make sure you're pressing nice and hard. So I gave you 5, but I think I'm only going to use 4. It doesn't matter, 4 to 5. You could also squish them a little bit more together. I didn't, but that's okay if you do or if you don't. For this next part, you're going to want to roll your, pumpkin. And I like to use a stapler. It's just easier than working without the glue. If you find that your little strands are getting in the way, just fold them over. So for the final step for the pumpkin, you might want to take a hole puncher. If you don't have one, that's okay. You just want to make 2 holes on each side. And this is where your string is going to go. So you take one of your green pieces of string, and then you just tie it to both ends. So when you tie, just make sure you double knot, and then you should have your first windsock. Let's move on to the witch. So before you start anything, you're going to want to take your 2 smaller pieces of orange paper, and you'll want to kind of measure how long you want your bangs. So I like about that much showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue about that far on my paper. I'm going to take my pieces. So notice how I'm only pressing the top part of the paper. I'm leaving the bangs kind of loose, and that's because we're going to cut the bangs. So now I'm just going to glue this part to the back. So now that my bangs are glued, I'm going to take the parts that are sticking up, and I'm just going to cut them in half. So it's just going to be a little slit, like that. I'm going to do it again to the other bang. Now your bang should look like this. You're then going to take your hat and you're going to put glue all along the bottom piece and then glue it on, and it should look a little like this when you're done. So now I'm just going to glue. So now I have my bangs and my hat. And what you might want to do, so I forgot, is leave the little tip corners up so then we could put the hair down. So you're going to take your medium length pieces, and then what I like to do is I like to see where I'm going to want to put it. So I'm kind of measuring it against my bangs, and then that's where I'm going to be putting glue. You're only going to want to put about that much glue for your hair. And it's okay if your pieces overlap. If that's the case, you just might want to put a little extra glue where it's going to overlap. So now we have our first 2 strands of hair. I'm going to repeat that on the other side, and I'll be right back. So at this point, you should have your 4 very long pieces of hair. If you feel like it's too long, don't be afraid to trim it. So I'm probably going to trim mine. I'm going to cut a little bit off, but you don't have to. If you like your witch having really long hair, that's okay too, guys. Remember, it's your witch. So now that we have the hair, what we're going to do is we're going to cut each of these strands right in half. And you're going to stop when you get to the spot with glue. So, like that. It might be helpful to turn up the pieces you've already done. Kind of keep them out of your way. And I always like to start with the ones that are resting on top. It's just easier. So now we have our witch with her hair. But now we got to work on her face, right? So to do that, I'm going to start with the nose. You're going to see, you're going to take it and you're going to bend just a little tip. And then you're going to put glue on that little bent spot. I like to line it up somewhere in the middle. And then make sure you press down like always. And then I'm going to use googly eyes, but you can draw eyes. You can do whatever you like. And then I'm just going to put them above the nose. The last part of the face is going to be drawing a mouth. So you can use a marker, a crayon, it's up to you. I like to press my nose down to see where my mouth needs to go. And then draw my mouth. So now we have the witch's face done. We're going to flip it over. I like to take my hair and press it up like that. And then now we're going to take the black pieces, the black crepe, and just like we did with the pumpkin, we're going to start gluing the crepe paper to the back, okay? So, just like you did with the pumpkin, we're going to now begin to bend. And it might be helpful to hold onto your hat as you bend, just to kind of help loosen it and bend it with. And you're going to bend your witch and just have it overlap just a little. So just like before, we're going to take our stapler and we're going to staple it together. If you find that your hat is having a hard time staying on, it's okay if you staple it, staple down the edges. There's nothing wrong with that. So now just like before, I'm going to pop a hole each of the sides. I'm going to take my green string and I'm going to thread it through. And there you have it. You have your 2 Halloween wind socks. Aren't they awesome? Hang them up wherever you like. Make your space a little bit more Halloween and spooky, all right? Have a great Halloween, everyone. Stay safe. And I'll see you next week for our next craft video. Bye.